It's not so easy to find an entry-level 5G phone in Western markets, and Motorola has come to fill in that gap with their new Moto G62 5G. But besides 5G connectivity, what does this phone have to offer? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our full review. This is the global version of the Moto G62. Don't get it confused with the Indian model with the same name, which has a more powerful chipset. This device aims to provide 5G connectivity on a budget, but as we've seen on other such phones, there are some trade-offs feature-wise to keep the price down. The Moto G62 is made of plastic. Its curved back features a smooth finish that resists smudges, but is a bit slippery. The phone isn't too heavy though, and it is comfy in hand. There is also water-repellent coating on the Moto G62's internals. This isn't full-fledged ingress protection though. On the front of the phone is a 6.5-inch IPS LCD with a 1080p resolution and a fast 120Hz refresh rate. The fast refresh rate is nice to have at this price. It smooths out your swiping and scrolling, and can dial down to save energy when you stop interacting with the screen. The Moto G62's display has decent contrast for an LCD panel. There is no HDR support though, and the color accuracy isn't the best. You can switch color modes in settings, but whites still have a bluish tint. Brightness is okay, but not great. We measured a maximum of 450 nits with a manual slider, and this boosts to 550 nits in auto mode in bright conditions. This leaves a bit more to be desired when it comes to legibility out in the sun. For audio, there is a traditional headphone jack and a pair of stereo speakers. The speakers earned a score of very good in our loudness test, and the quality surprised us here. The sound is full with pronounced vocals and decent bass.
I'm wide awake, but you're a nightmare.
You can wake up and unlock the Moto G62 with the side-mounted fingerprint reader built into the power button. It's fast and responsive. And there's 128 gigs of storage on board, and that is expandable through microSD. Under the hood of the Moto G62 is a Snapdragon 480 Plus chipset. That's a bit of a downgrade compared to the more powerful Snapdragon 695 within the Indian version. So the global Moto G62 isn't blowing anyone away when it comes to benchmark scores, but the performance is still solid enough for this price point. We experience very few hiccups or slowdowns, and apps seem to launch at a pretty normal clip. The G62's interface is what you'd expect from a Motorola these days. A stock Android 12 UI with a few Motorola features sprinkled in. Everything is clean and bloat-free. You even get an aesthetic close to what Google intended, with pill-shaped quick toggles. Still, you do get plenty of options to customize the looks through the personalization options, which are found within the Moto app. Through the Moto app, you'll also find other proprietary features, like the custom gestures. The peak display is also useful. The display will light up and even show notifications when you pick up the phone. The Moto G62 has a large 5000 mAh battery, and battery life is very good, with an overall endurance rating of 122 hours in our proprietary tests. Charging speed is disappointing though. With a bundled 15-watt charger, we were only able to charge from 0 to 24% in half an hour. Now onto the Moto G62's cameras, which include a 50-megapixel main cam, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide cam, and a 2-megapixel macro camera. The main cam produces okay photos for this price point. There is enough detail, but noise reduction is not very competent. Even worse, the color balance has a notable cold tinge, whereas the colors themselves are a bit desaturated. The ultra-wide cam does its job when it comes to providing a dramatic perspective, but the image quality isn't great. The detail level and dynamic range are limited, and the color balance is not great as well. As you'd expect at the 2-megapixel resolution, macro close-up shots don't have a lot of detail, and the fixed focus means that it's difficult to get a sharp result. In low light, the main camera's performance is adequate for a budget phone. There's not a lot of resolved detail, and there's visible noise, but you do get okay contrast, colors, and dynamic range. There is a night mode, but it doesn't help a lot. The dynamic range is improved a bit, but the heavy noise suppression ends up smoothing out most of the details. Since the ultra-wide camera struggles to deliver decent enough photos during the day, we weren't expecting much at night either. These are extremely soft and noisy, and the dynamic range is poor too. If the lighting is good, selfies come out decent. They are detailed and sharp enough, and the face is well exposed. The Moto G62 can record video in up to 1080p resolution with either of its rear cameras. The main camera's video quality is good. The output is somewhat contrasty, but overall, the level of detail is fine for the class, and the color rendering is much better than with the photos. In contrast, the ultra-wide's footage is much softer. The colors are good here as well, but the dynamic range is rather limited, so overall not a great showing from this camera. Electronic stabilization is on point though for either camera, and you can expect stable, non-shaky videos even when walking around with the phone in your hand. So that's the Moto G62. It offers good battery life and nice stereo speakers, but its main appeal remains the 5G connectivity, which is still rare to find at a budget price. Unfortunately, that's balanced out by some downsides, which include the not-so-bright display, slow charging, and lackluster camera image quality. It also doesn't feel great that the Indian version of the phone has a performance advantage thanks to its more powerful chipset. So in the end, if you're looking for 5G at a low price, the Moto G62 could be worth looking into, but if you aren't, there are better alternatives. Thanks for watching guys, stay safe and see you on the next one.